to Fresh Music Flavor. I go by Alicia, aka Shashisha. If you guys don't know who we are FMF, Fresh Music Flavor, the new sound of gospel. Tonight we have an amazing gospel artist in the house. I will let herself introduce herself. Who do we have tonight on FMF Meet?
You have Sarah Téibo tonight on FMF. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm a worship leader, a singer-songwriter from London. I'm married with 2 kids. I've got 2 albums. I'm working on a 3rd. I recently released a song. I love the Lord. I love cooking. I love shoes.
Wow. So you guys have heard, we have Sarah in the house tonight. She is a gospel artist. Like you've heard, she's a mother. She loves cooking. She loves anything to do with gospel. Wow, Sarah. That's just one person. Just one person. Right,
Yeah.
Sarah, tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit on how, you started in this gospel industry. Usually I would like to say, give me a little CV, a little bio, but you did do your little bio a little bit at the beginning. But yeah, just elaborate.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and, how you actually got into the gospel industry or the gospel scene.
Yeah, so, well, to be fair, I've been singing for a while. I've been singing in choirs and in church since I was about 10. And it was always just being the church girl who just sings Oh Happy Day, from being a kid in the choir. But I think in my teenage years, I joined what we called our youth choir at the time. And that was where I started getting my inspiration for writing. So we typically had tasks to write songs per whatever the theme was each month. So I discovered I had a flair for songwriting, but it was really, rough and ready, very dusty, very rusty even. But that definitely was a turning point for me in my teenage years. And then growing up and started doing some session singing for some artists, carrying on leading worship in church, just the whole, standard stuff, nothing overly exciting, I should say. But I always knew that I was going to become a recording artist at a certain point. But, being from an African home, that is not a career option. Okay. So it's something you wish would happen at a point, but you just know you have to do other things first.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. So, however, that said, back in 2014, I just had a really clear leading that was something that needed to be pursued, and I got direction on what the album should be called, what the tracks needed to be. I got very clear leading on what my marketing strategy should be about, even though I was new to the whole scene, what the strategy should look like and everything. And so I launched that with my first single in 2015. And that actually went to the top of the UK Christian charts. And ever since, I've had release after release. I had my first album the following year, 2016. It was the Premier Gospel Album of the Year following. I got a MOBO nomination off the back of that album. And I had my second album in 2018, which featured many artists, including Fred Hammond, which in itself is a miracle. And I'm right now working on a worship album to be released this year, of which 2 singles and an EP have come out of it already. So it's been a really exciting journey, particularly because there were many years of frustration, many years of impatience, many years of doubt, of insecurity, that over the course of many years, God kind of worked on me, and he helped me with my confidence. He helped validate my gifting and my ministry. So what you're seeing today is a product of grace and a product of many years of just uncertainty and doubt. So yeah, God has really worked on me to bring me to where I am today.
Wow. So can I say that you're actually coming from a Christian home? Have you been brought up in the Christian home?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And also you've just said that, when you were younger, you knew that this is what you wanted to do. You wanted to become, a gospel singer. How did you overcome this with your family? Obviously, like you've said, with the African background, it is hard because you have to look at other things before you even said, you know what, I want to be a singer, I want to be a dancer, or I want to be an actress or an actor. How did you go about with this in terms of your parents and your background? How did you go about it?
It's a very interesting question, actually, because I would imagine that there are many young people who are going through the exact same thing that I went through. And for me, it was a case of knowing that when it was the right time, it would be so clear. But in the meantime, keeping working on my gifting. So just because I couldn't go out and become a recording artist didn't mean I didn't carry on worshiping and serving in church. So I carried on working on my gifting. I carried on serving in the worship team, in the choir, wherever I was needed, I was there. If we were planting a new church and they needed a new choir for the new church, I was there. Literally, I jumped at every opportunity to serve. And I think that's very critical, because sometimes we see the lights and the camera, but we don't realize the work that goes behind the scenes. Many of the artists that we look up to today have done the exact same thing, whether it's serving in the backgrounds or serving in the shadows. Everyone kind of. So I think the point is, to answer your question, is even though it wasn't clear that becoming a recording artist was for there and then, at that point in time, service was critical, and it still is critical even now, as married with kids and having a ministry and leading in church. So not leading, having the role of leading worship in church, I should say. I still have to prioritize leading worship in church over anything I do outside. So when, for example, the rota for worship leading comes out and I know that I'm set to lead on a specific day, that day I cannot take a booking. So it still plays a part even after becoming so-called recording artist. That service in the house is pertinent, is primary, it's important, it overrules everything else.
I mean, in terms of, because you said you started off officially in 2014. If you don't mind me asking, what was you doing before that, prior to 2014?
Well, it was literally just, serving in the choir, leading worship. I think I had a very few occasions where I did some BVing for other artists in studio, but that was very, very, very minimal. I wouldn't call myself a session singer by any stretch of anyone's imagination. It would have just been the odd person who says, come and do some BVing for me. But it was primarily serving in church, leading worship. So in terms of being on stage outside of church, I was alien to all of that. I was alien to studio per se as a recording artist, because again, it was just the odd occasion of BVing for somebody who was recording a project. It was really church. It was literally all serving as a worship leader, as a member of the choir. Pretty much that was it.
So how do you tackle everything? Because obviously you are a mom of how many children?
2. I've got 2 daughters.
Okay, so you are a mom of 2 daughters. How do you tackle everything, with church, with singing, with writing? I mean, overall, how do you tackle being a housewife and also a mom and also an artist? How do you tackle? Because I know some people out there are maybe struggling to tackle every single thing that you are doing.
Yeah.
What would you say to them, and how do you go about it every day?
It's not an easy feat, I have to say. Plus I have a day job as well, so it's not easy at all. I was talking to somebody yesterday, or was it the day before? It was yesterday, and I was asking her to do a particular thing. I was kind of mentoring her on a particular thing that I needed her to do for herself. And she says to me, I can't do it until next month because I'm doing exams. And I said to her, she's single, so I said to her, if you can't do that thing and you're studying simultaneously, you're going to struggle when you get married, because you need to be able to compartmentalize your life such that you can do different things simultaneously. And this thing that she needed to work on was very important, but she was going to go, I'll do it in April when I finish studying. And I think for me, what's really helped me is because I kind of spent the best part of my life serving in church. It meant that I was able to do my studies, be a child who was doing all her chores, but equally going to church and because literally my mum used to say to me, the church was my second home. I would be there for almost every service. I'll be there for choir practice, obviously for church. I barely missed a service because I just love to be in God's presence. But what that really helped me do, without even me realizing it, it helped me have not just priority, but also learn how to do all these different things at the same time. Because even as a young person growing up, I was able to do church, do home, do school, and I was one of the best, if not the best student in my year. whilst
Wow.
equally, as a matter of fact, I was in at least 2 music groups whilst studying. So being able to do that back then just meant that I could carry on, you know, even after getting married and having kids. It was just like, you know, being in school and being in groups simultaneously. You know, it's just like, but the point is, for young people who are probably looking and going, how will I ever do that? You need to start doing it now. Don't have the mindset that you can only ever do one thing per time, because then you would really struggle when you need to pursue your calling, because you need to have to be a husband or a wife or a mum or whatever whilst pursuing your calling at the same time. So you need to understand how to juggle things. Now, sometimes it gets really overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy feat. I mean, for example, I'm talking to you now, and thank God for a supportive husband who's watching the kids, you know. So there's so many different things that people don't necessarily see behind the scenes. But I think having a supportive partner, whether you're a man or a woman, is critical to your ministry, and understanding the importance of planning ahead. So I try as much as I can to plan things way ahead, so that I can think of any eventualities of things falling through the cracks. If I have a release, for example, I would plan my leave, my work holiday around that release. So for example, I had a song come out last Friday and I took a day off on Thursday, so that at least in a, you know, I can literally key into the release. I can just 100% dedicate my time to whatever it is I needed, whatever it was I needed to do, whether it was go on social media, respond to emails, respond to DMs. I wasn't thinking that I should be doing my day job. It's literally, I've got that day before the release to do anything I need to do, just zoom into that particular, you know, role, if you like. And then I had Easter, and I try to, and that comes from thinking ahead. It's like, okay, so I've got a song coming out 2 months from now. I could just take 2 days off work around that time, and that eases things off for me. You know, you plan things around your family, plan things around, you know, your husband, your children, but planning is another good one. And finally, before I write a book on this, finally, is learning when you can't, learning to put your hand up and ask for help, basically. So learning when you can stop and ask for help, to delegate if necessary. So for example, if I have a lot going on, I have a caterer on speed dial who I would literally ask to get me certain meals that would save me the hassle for a week. You know, there's certain things sometimes, you know, we just want to, especially as mums and women, we want to do every single thing. I just go, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do here and now? Like, is there an inspector coming to check my sink? No. Okay, let me sit down and have some tea, and then I'll do the dishes later. You know, it's like, you just need to know how to chill, and just know if it's not critical, I don't need to bend over backwards to do it just now. Like, I can chill, have a cup of tea, relax, and then get to it. So again, as much as people think that you have to be on the go, you need to know when to take a step back, put your hands up, ask for help, or even just rest. You know.
So guys, you've heard Sarah say, you know what, time management, planning, plan ahead. Even if you have children, even if you don't have children, it's always the best thing to do is to plan ahead, time management as well. And also a supportive partner, a man or woman, you know. So that's really good, Sarah. I mean, in terms of the gospel scene in the UK, how do you see the gospel scene in the UK?
How do I see? That is a loaded question, you know.
But you know what?
That is a loaded question.
We like to know.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, especially given that I consider myself relatively new, even though I've been on the scene for maybe 6 years now, I still consider myself new, because there are people who've been on the scene for 30 odd years, if not longer. So I think it's evolved. I think it's kind of had ebbs and flows, you know, times of a lot of productivity, and then there's times of quietness. And I feel like right now we're in a time of a lot of productivity. There's so many great, you know, sounds, great releases, great artists coming out from the UK. It's so refreshing, because I love it when we thrive. I'm one of those people who doesn't really believe in being the one-eyed king of blind people. I like it when everyone has eyesight and we're just going together, you know, progressing and moving forward and becoming relevant. I think the UK gospel scene could be more relevant, right? Because, for example, if you look at Nigeria, there's a thriving scene in the gospel space, in the Christian music space, even in the Afrobeat space. there's that relevance, there's that, you know, you think of a certain genre and you think of a certain sound and you can pick a name from Nigeria who's relevant in that space. And I think in the UK, and I talk about relevance globally now, right? Because you think of a Sinach, you think of a Tim Godfrey, you think of a Nathaniel Bassey. I mean, if you look on the secular side, you think of what's his name now? Burna Boy and who all the other people are. The point being, there's relevance in that space as a country. In other countries as well, certain sounds, certain genres, you find relevance. In the UK, I think the UK gospel scene is becoming more relevant, and I think there's room for even more still. And I think one critical element to ensuring that happens is if we work together more, if we collaborate more, if we're a unified force, if we're not all going in our different directions, but we're coming together, echoing one another's messages, you know, shouting at one another when we've got new stuff coming out, just being there for one another. Because I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, a playlist cannot consist of only my music, right? So why would I only ever talk about my music on my social media? You know, I should shout out as many other people who are doing the same thing as me, because a curator is not going to only put me on a playlist. They'll happily put me and 6 other people from the UK, if you see what I mean. So you shouldn't be threatened. The point I'm making is, if we're going to thrive and become relevant, we shouldn't be threatened by our fellow brothers and sisters progressing, because we succeed together. And until we see that, we will just keep having the ebbs and flows. You know, we want to be able to have that spike that stays and that grows to the point of relevance globally. But there's so many things that need to be fixed in order for that to happen, in my humble opinion. So I speak for myself.
No, I do. I agree. I mean, you know, we all need to work as one. That's how I see it, you know, because we are all, you know, sending the message out there. You know, we're all serving one God. So working together as one, you know, this is my motto. We've got to work as one. I mean, in terms of everything that has been happening, you know, global wise, with the pandemic and everything, how have you, you know, managed to bring out the latest track, you know, Victory? How have you managed to do that? How have you managed, you know, to work on your EP? Tell me, how have you managed to do that during this pandemic? Because
I think it's by it was hard. It was hard, and it came to a point where it became obvious that we needed to adapt and evolve and respond. Because when we got the news around this time last year that we're going into lockdown, it was like, 6 weeks. At least we won't have to do the school run. We'll just feel like it's a vacation, and we'll be done in a couple of months. Suddenly, when it carried on going, the reality began to hit that, hold on a minute, this is not going anywhere anytime soon. So we need to adapt and I had a plan to release the album last year, by the way, the plan. And anyone who really knows me knows that I love spreadsheets. And a very few pairs of eyes have seen the spreadsheet that I pulled together for my album. A very neat plan that had a release date of sometime in 2020, but COVID said not quite. So all that was thrown out the window when COVID happened, and so we had to go back to the drawing board. But I think God, I know God really, he's awesome. And I don't say that to be cliche, because the name he gave me for the album is called Restored, right? And that was in 2019 he gave me the name, and I planned that it would come out in 2020. But the restoration is happening in 2021, you see, because there's been so much loss in 2020 that the actual theme, the title track of the album, Being Restored, speaks to a situation where all hope has been lost, and God is restoring our souls and restoring our hope. And it's going to be out just as lockdown lifts completely in July. So it's like, it couldn't have been timed better. Even though at the time it felt like, God, I want to release it now. But the message of Spirit Come, for example, which was the first single that came out from the album, was poignant for August last year. August last year was one of the peak seasons. I know we had the summer, we came out of summer and everything. But around that time frame, we had lots and lots of deaths. The statistics were depressing. And the prayer for God's Spirit to breathe over the world could not have come at a better time, and it's still relevant today. But the timing of that release, so each of the songs speak to something that couldn't have been better timed than as the pandemic actually happened. So as much as it was frustrating that it didn't all go to plan. I always tend
Yeah.
to do my plans in pencil and give God the eraser and say to him, let your will be done. This is
Wow.
what I want, but let your will be done. And it's a beautiful thing that he's putting together. So Victory, which came out on Friday,
Yeah.
is a bit of a twist, or should I not a twist, it's a bit of a deviation, I should say, from the other couple of singles that came out, because it sounds a bit poppy, it sounds upbeat. As a matter of fact, the song was put on a Spotify playlist called New Music Friday India, and on that playlist is BTS. I don't know if you know BTS. They're like the biggest selling pop group from South Korea. Is it? Yeah, South Korea. They do K-pop. They do K-pop. Yeah. Do you know the K-pop genre though? It's like pop music from Asia, basically.
Okay.
But Victory got put on that playlist, and that is not a Christian playlist. So that tells you.
But do you know what? I was actually going to say, because having to listen to Victory, the changing and the beats as well, I was going to ask you this question. Are you just catering strictly to gospel, Christianity, or are you catering for the wider range? Because when I listened to Victory, I was like, oh, you know, a lot of people can actually listen to this track. So I wasn't too sure who, you know, Sarah is catering for, if I can say.
For this particular, so Victory is really for everyone.
Okay.
And that's why even with the collaboration, I was very deliberate not to just collaborate with, you know, because obviously a black sound is a gospel sound. So I brought some of my white friends in to make it hopefully as clear to others that it's not just a gospel sound. It's hopefully going to cross, you know, the barriers that we've consciously or unconsciously created by making one thing gospel and the other Christian or whatever, and take it outside. But in reality, though, when I actually co-wrote it with some of my friends from church on WhatsApp, by the way. That's what COVID taught us. COVID taught us how to do things. So we'll be sending each other voice notes and going, how does this sound? We co-wrote the song on WhatsApp. I'm going to do a live at some point to talk through the story of that. But as that song was evolving, I began to see it as a song that kids sing in church. And you know, for one of the things that we tend to not really cater to as Black people is kids' music, kids' worship.
Yeah, very
so the song, in as much as it's not so much black and white, gospel or whatever, it's for everyone. But my prayer is that it's a song that kids use in worship, because outside of Hillsong and the odd Integrity and Maranatha, whatever else there is, we Blacks don't really write music for our kids. You know, we write music that we like, but we don't really intentionally go, okay, let's do a song for kids. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's done this, by the way, but we need more. So to answer your question, yes, it's for everyone, but I'm hoping that it gets kids on their feet, it gets kids bopping and dancing and declaring victory. You know, kids using it in praise and worship in Sunday school, because that's what it's, and that's why I intentionally made the video the way it is as well. Yes. So it brings a bit of fun and color, you know, into people's homes, into people's lives.
Guys, you will actually see this, but before we actually switch into the video for you guys, I want to know, Sarah, what kind of genre you're into, what kind of gospel. Actually, no, if you give me top 5 gospel artists that has inspired you to do what you do best at, please.
Yeah.
5.
Oh God.
Actually, not 5. Let's shorten it down. 3.
I was excited to give you 5 names. I was like, yes, I'm gonna give you 5, but it's fine. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3. So Kimberell is definitely number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberell is number 1. Fred Hammond is number 2, without a doubt.
Yes.
Jonathan McReynolds would be my number 3. PJ Morton, because he's an insane songwriter. There are so many contenders for number 5 that I don't even know who to give you for number 5. So I'll just leave it at number 4 because there's so many.
Wow.
I'll leave it at number 4.
So we didn't hear just 3, but we heard 4. And if she went on to number 5, she could have probably gone to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, God knows. But,
yeah, gosh.
Also, your top 3 gospel songs that you play on repeat day in, day out, that inspires you every single day.
Well, I don't play them every day, so I wouldn't give you a false answer. But when that song hits, my kids know it's going to be on repeat.
Wow.
Yeah, Holy Ghost by Kim Burrell. Even if you called my kids and you ask them now, they'll literally say Holy Ghost by Kim, because when that song hits, it plays on repeat perpetually. I love that song. And then the worship song that I recently actually love playing on repeat is Who You Say I Am by Hillsong.
Wow.
I Am Who You Say. I don't know if you know that song, but the words in the song, when I reflect on the lyrics, sometimes it's not even about the riffs and the harmonies and the melodies. The lyrics, they speak life. And the lyrics in Who You Say I Am by Hillsong, they just speak life to me. And I absolutely, I love that song. And then PJ Morton's The Gospel According to PJ, the album, the whole album, right? For me, I have that on repeat. But I think the song that he did with J Moss is my favorite on the project. So yeah, but that album is classic. I'm glad it won a Grammy because it deserved it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was expecting Sarah to say, do you know what? Let me put Victory in that, because Victory is one of the songs that I enjoy.
Oh, well, hey, the truth is, I can't possibly listen to myself on repeat. That would be vain now, wouldn't it?
But you know what? We've got to love what we do. From time to time, you've got to love what you do.
Yeah.
So on repeat.
Oh, hold on a minute. One more. Sorry. Rhea Collective, a UK group.
Okay.
You Created All Things. You should check the song out if you don't have it. That song, I listen to it so much that when I wake up in the morning, it's singing in my spirit.
Wow.
So Rhea Collective is a UK collective. You Created All Things. That song is absolutely beautiful. And this is a UK band, so you should definitely. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is it. Don't ask me for 3 because I have so many.
You've got so many. I know. Right, guys. I know you guys have been waiting for this moment, and you wanna listen to Sarah's song. It is her latest song. Is called Victory. So we are about to play this song for you guys. So stay tuned. Do not move. Just wait there.
Mountains may stand before me. My God is right beside me. And I may walk through valleys. Your love casts out anxiety. Through all the years and in every season, you are the living truth. No more in fear, walking in our freedom, victory found in you. All confidence is in your victory. Your promises give us victory. You are the mountain mover, breaking the chains that bind us. You calm the stormy weather, flood light into the darkness.
Through all the years and in every season, you are the living truth. No more in fear, walking in our freedom, victory found in you.
All confidence is in your victory. Your promises give us victory. All confidence is in your victory. Your promises give us victory. My
Through all the years and in every season, you are the living truth. No more in fear, walking in our freedom, victory found in you. Through all the years and in every season, you are the living truth. No more in fear, walking in
Wow. So guys, if you guys didn't know, you were listening to Sarah's latest track and video called Victory. I must say that video actually reminds me a little bit of the movie Emoji.
Yeah, it is the emojis, yeah, from the iPhone, yeah.
That's it. I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, that actually is, you know, my kids will just love to watch that and repeat the song. So
Exactly, that's the whole idea.
Play it for them. But Sarah, before we go, tell me, what are we expecting from you in the next 2 or 3 or 4 months? I know you said your EP is coming out in July.
The EP's out, it's the album coming out in July, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Coming out in July. What are we expecting from you from that album in July?
Right, so before the album comes out, I'll probably put one more single out because, again, I really want to get people into the album in terms of just having a feel for what to expect. So instead of just telling you, I will be bringing it to you. So I'll be bringing one more single, hopefully by the end of May, and then the full album in July. One question I keep getting from people who love Blessed is whether or not there'll be an Afrobeat.
I was literally gonna say, Sarah, I love the song Blessed and I want you to do an acapella, but you said it. It's okay, let's go.
No, but people keep going, well, because when they heard Spirit Come and they heard Glorious King and then they heard Victory, like you asked, okay, so what genre are you? And they're like, so are we going to have an Afrobeat? So yes, expect an Afrobeat song on the project. The thing is, what I always try to do, even though I don't like to be a one-trick pony, nonetheless, I like there to be a consistent theme, or a consistent thread across all my songs. You find that in all my albums. They don't all sound the same, but at the same time, you can listen to the album and you can be immersed in the entire project. So there'll be an Afrobeat song. You've just heard Victory, but when you sit down with the entire album, you will actually enjoy the experience of going from track to track, because there's nothing worse than having an artist sing the exact same style for 10 tracks.
Yeah.
You would literally fall out of your chair. So the dynamism and the versatility of my artistry, of my songwriting, of my delivery shows through in the album. You'd really love it if you listen to the whole project end to end. But yes, to the question, there will be an Afrobeat song for those who love Blessed. It's my best performing track from all of my songs put together. So I know not to miss out on putting a new Afrobeat song. It's going to be fab. I mean, it's already produced. It's all done. Yeah. So, and I'm loving it. Like when I played it for my husband, when it was still being mixed, it wasn't even finished. My husband was like, I'm playing this in the car as I'm going out now. And I said, it's not even finished. I don't care. I'm playing this now. So you guys are going to love it, I hope. Yeah, but yeah. So
I am super excited. I can't wait. But Sarah, before we close off, where can our listeners find you or find your music? Where can they find Sarah?
So all my music is on any digital music platform that you stream or download music from. So from Spotify to Apple to Amazon to Tidal to what's the most recent one I found? There's many. Pandora, that's the one. Because my distributor sent me an email to say that I've been added to a playlist on Pandora. I don't use Pandora. I don't know anyone who uses Pandora. Yeah, but if you use Pandora, you can find me everywhere. I'm not just on YouTube or Amazon, but on every streaming platform. I've got a channel.
FMF, remember?
And on FMF, you can find me on FMF as well. And on YouTube, I've got a channel, Sarah Téibo Music. I've currently got 1,400 subscribers. I'm hoping I can get more. So please subscribe if you get there and you see Sarah Téibo with 1,400 subscribers. That's my channel, because there are other things that you find when you Google Sarah Téibo on YouTube. Search Sarah Téibo on YouTube. And in terms of connecting with me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's at Sarah Téibo Music. My name is on there, Sarah Téibo, and then just put music at the end. And I'm very responsive. If you DM me, I will respond. I love connecting with my friends. I love connecting with my friends, fans, and followers. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure having you in the house. But before we go, I need you to do an a cappella for me on the song Blessed, because I must admit that is my favorite track.
Oh, bless. You're not the only one.
I need you to do a little acapella before we close off.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So here goes. I'm so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm so blessed. Yeah. I'm alive today. It's a testimony. God has made a way. Made a way for me. I lift my hands and say, how great you are, how great you are. I lift my voice and say, how great you are, how great you are. So glad that you love me, so glad that you care for me. You gave your life for me. That's why I say, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed,
Wow.
I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yeah.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was unbelievable. I love it.
Thank you.
Guys, yeah, you have been tuning in with myself, Elisha, aka Shashisha, and today it was an honor to have Sarah in the house. Don't forget to follow her on all her pages, on all platforms, typing in her name, Sarah, which will be just below our platform. And also, if you want to catch her music, you can catch it on Fresh Music Flavor, the new sound of gospel. Sarah, you are always welcome to come back.
Thank you.
FMF anytime.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was really good fun.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
You're listening to a Fresh Music Flavor.